Yo, what's up guys, it's Master here, and today I'm gonna teach you guys how to import your own songs, or well technically chart them, because I have actually charted a bunch of songs in here, and I'm going to show you how to, make them. So first things first, you're going to need to have some sort of music program. So I just use BandLab, because it's free and it's web-based, so you don't need any complicated stuff. And it also, the most important thing is that you can export things as a MIDI, which you need for this tutorial, because the way you chart stuff, you're going to need a MIDI. So basically, we're just going to be using Crystal Islet, and since I already made a cover of this song, really all I had to do is just copy the parts and just put it in here. So we have a perfectly fine MIDI that we can use for the actual chart. And one thing that's very important is that I don't know if it's different for other music programs, but for BandLab specifically, you're gonna have to make sure that you're in between C3 and C5, because if it's an octave below or above, it won't work and it won't appear in the actual chart, since the trombone champ charts are only use 2 octaves. So just keep that in mind. So now obviously that we have our MIDI and our song file, which make sure your song file is an OGG, because if it's not an OGG, it will not work, it won't work, and the song won't, the background song won't play. So make sure you have an OGG. And if you don't know how to get an OGG, just find some sort of online converter. There should be some. It should be pretty easy to find one. So that's how I managed to get a Crystal Islet. I managed to make it an OGG. Now, before you actually export this MIDI, you're gonna want to make sure it's accurate. So just listen to it, make sure it's fine, make sure the tones match up. Just make sure the entire song matches up. If you don't know many things on music theory and whatnot, there should be tutorials, composer tutorials that you can use. That's what I use for some of my covers. Composer tutorials for the islets and the islands. And you should, if you don't know sheet music, you should just be able to look up a guide on Google. That should be completely fine. So just make sure the MIDI matches up, and once you give it a good listen and it doesn't sound out of key or wrong, then what you can do is export region as a MIDI, and boom, we have our MIDI here. Now, next, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go to this website, Trombone Champ Chart Converter, or TC Chart Converter at GitHub. And basically, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to choose the file. And this stuff, I don't know what it means, but it's most likely nothing, because when I ended up putting this chart into the game, there was nothing wrong with it. And another thing that's important with this that I didn't show off before is that this converter does slide notes a bit weird, because, for example, so as you can see, we have the chart, or I guess the MIDI up open here. But as you can see, the notes are not against each other. As you can see, I put little gaps here, because if you don't put gaps in there, everything, it's gonna register it as a slide note. So you're gonna want to make sure you don't do that for things you don't want to be slides. And for things you want to make actual slides, make sure you add them up close together, so that they end up as a slide, so you just drag up in the actual chart in the actual game. So obviously, to make sure you didn't mess up, obviously search through and check if there's any slides where you didn't want them to be. So obviously I'm looking through here, and there's not really any slides that I don't want. So now we basically have everything ready to go. So now what we're going to want to do is we're going to fill in this info. So obviously fill in the song name as Crystal Islet, then short name, do the same thing. Same thing for track ref. You know, it doesn't really show up in MSM Karaoke, so you don't really need to worry about that. Same thing with description, can just be the exact same thing. For genre, I always put electronic, even though it's always probably not the correct genre. And make sure to put the correct release here. Again, these don't show up in game, except for artists. Make sure to put Big Blue Bubble for MSM Islands. Don't put your name, even though you charted it. Don't put your name, that's like weird. Put the actual like composer's name. Now, this one's actually important. BPM. You're gonna want to make sure that's the actual song BPM, because that's very important. And make sure to edit this to be 4. You know, as you can see, it's 4-4, and it's always the top time signature number, so make sure it's 4. And then color, I like editing this because I just think it's cool. You don't have to do this though. It's kind of just useless since, again, you won't see that in game. So, you know. And basically, now that all this is filled out, you can generate chart. And now, there you go. There's the TMB file that you need for the game. Alright, so now we have our 2 main files that we are going to be using. Make sure the actual background song is just titled song. You can change this by just clicking on it and then clicking on it again, and then you can just type in whatever. But make sure it's titled song, because otherwise it won't work. This part doesn't really matter. This can stay the same. I don't even think you can edit it, but it doesn't need to be changed, so you can just ignore that. So now what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to create a new folder. Now I just like titling it just the island name, and then wait, that's not how you, okay, hold on, wait, give me a second. How do you spell island? Oh, that's how you do it. And then the island name, then MSM Karaoke. The folder name doesn't really matter, but what you're going to want to do is you're going to take these 2 files and just put them in here. So now we have the files in here. And then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to send to, compress, and make it a zip file. So now, here's the final part, because we're basically done now. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to go in-game and import the song. So now that we're in-game, just go to import songs, then select that file the zip file, the zip folder, open, and then you should see it. Yes, I obviously already charted it and put it in my game before, but I think it's the second one. So let's go in here, select PP Lizard, and see if it works. And what do you know? It works perfectly fine. And just like that, we have successfully charted our own MSM song into MSM Karaoke. Oh, I didn't even know I was doing that good. Alright. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If you have any questions, type it in the comment section. I'll probably respond. And good luck on charting your own songs in MSM Karaoke. So, I'll see you guys later.
Your papa? He wanted you to have this.
Papa, wait. Yeah.